Marcy?
Hi, Lori. I'm here.
Hey. I did put some poll questions in. Would you be able to help me with those? I
Sure.
did put them
Yeah,
in
I don't see
order.
your.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mortgage Coaches Training Thursday. And my name is Lori Lytle, and I'll be your trainer for today's call. So with today's call, I do have a couple things already planned, but today is Training Thursday, and what we used to refer to it as Q&A, question and answer. So what I would like you to do, and everyone on the call, open up your question area in GoToMeeting. Let me know what company you're from, so I could see if you're on an enterprise account, so I could address those type of questions. Also, let me know where your struggles are at Edge. What do you want to learn? Harlow's already asked to be able to show him how to take a current mortgage as a first and a second and combine it into one loan, so refinancing it. So we're going to go ahead and show that. Hey, Patrick, Bank of California. I'll be talking a little bit about integrations. I know Bank of California doesn't have one yet for OB, but we're working on it. So if you could do that, just open up your question area, let me know. And Marcy's on the call with me, and she's going to help me ask some poll questions, because this is also going to help me identify certain areas we're going to go and train today with. So Marcy, if we could go ahead and launch that first poll question. So I want to know, have you created at least 5 TCAs? Because this gives me an idea what level you're at in your knowledge. So if you can answer this for me, just yes or no, and as soon as we can get enough people polling, we've got 63% of the vote. If you could go ahead and just answer that question, we could close this poll out quicker. So if we could get one more vote in there. So it sounds good. We do have quite a few who have already created those 5 TCAs, so that's great. For those of you, if you haven't, we do also have an intro class, and we also have our Mortgage Coach University that's already in the progress, first 3 weeks of the month. So Marcy, if you could close out that poll and go to the next one. And so with the next poll, what we're going to ask is, do you use your product template? And I want to know this because this does help you create those templates quicker. So right now we have a 50-50 vote. So if you could go ahead, just the sooner we get these answers, the sooner we could close out the poll. But this does help me a lot. So great. With those who are answering yes, can you put it in the question area? Do you use it combined? Do you use a product template that includes a fee template? So if you could go ahead and close that out, Marcy. So what I asked again, for those of you who are using fee and product templates, let me know if you're using a product template with the fee already incorporated, because that helps you go faster too. So if we could close out this poll, and is there one more question for you? Okay, so this will start helping get everything going. So what type of scenarios would you like to see? Just like Carlo, he wants to work on a refinance, current mortgage, first and second, and we're going to combine into one. Is there a type of product you want to see? So we could develop those while we're developing this refinance product. Do you do FHA's purchase? If you do, you can go ahead and put that in the poll area, and we'll develop our presentation based on that. Great. We have a lot of refinance options, everyone on the call right now. With those rates so low, it's definite. Okay. Marketing strategy, open house. Okay. We'll direct all the questions for the training, and then we could go ahead and close out those polls, Marcy. That'd be great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, so what I was going to talk about, and it was on the same line as Harlow, is developing an 80-10-10 product. So last week on our Training Thursday, we showed different loan comparisons, and with that we compared monthly MI to lender-paid MI to borrower-paid MI. But you also have another option about an 80-10-10, having a 10% as part of the down payment. So with that, you wouldn't have mortgage insurance, and how would you enter this into Mortgage Coach Edge? So I'm going to show this first. Starts our process off on just talking about second mortgages, and then we'll dive into creating that second lien and be able to combine that first and second lien amount. So with that, let's go into the Edge account, and I'm going to go into my comparison, and we'll just focus on this 80-10-10. So with that, if we go into Edge, in my home screen, you can see that I have my MI comparison file. So I'm going to go ahead and access this just by double-clicking. And the last place I was in presentation in my preview. And so that's why this screen has come up. And so what I'm going to do is hover my mouse over product. So if you're working with Edge, when you hover your mouse over any of these areas, if there's jump outs, you'll see them above. So with the products, I have 4 products, and I'm going to go to my 80-10-10. So with an 80-10-10, even though they're coming in with 10% down, you want 10% as a second lien. We do want to show on the first lien that it is coming in with 20%, so we have $70,000 here. If you're not quite sure of that down payment amount, it's really quick. All you have to do is put in your 10%, get that dollar amount, $35,000, and then you can update that really quick and put it back to 20. So now we want a second lien of $35,000. So you'll see on the first lien, you just put in the information, interest rate term, you reflect it as 20% down, enter your fees, your costs, and as well as your monthly costs. So now we're going to focus on the second lien part of this. And so with that, when you're developing a product with a second lien, on each product you'll see the very last field, does this product include a second lien? So you want to answer that yes. And then when you do, when you advance the screen, now you're going to develop that second lien product. So this is similar how that on a refinance, how we'll be entering this information. So we'll be doing this one more time. So with that, what we want to do is provide the loan amount of that 10%. So you can see how we have the $35,000. You want to go ahead and enter the interest rate and term on that. And that's how simple it would be to show a second lien. So with this, we'll talk a little bit more in a bit about is it a refinance or an existing second. And what we'll do is with the example we're showing for Harlow, we'll also show one of the products where we're refinancing both into one. And we'll also show one of the products where we'll refinance the first lien but keep the second lien. So that way we'll be able to work on these toggle fields a little bit more and be able to understand them. So now with it, that was as quick as it is to enter the second lien. If you had any fees associated with it, you would go ahead and enter it here and you would be done. So before we move on to the refinance part of a second mortgage, I want to go back and look at the output on the TCA. So with the TCA, we have the 80-10-10, and what I want to point out is where you can get some of these details. If you click on the More Info button in the monthly payment savings, you can see below that we now have the second lien information readily for you and the borrower. So you can see how all the basic information as well as that payment. So we not only do we have it in this area, you can also go to the summary section, and you can see in the payment breakdown, we have the P&I for the first, and we have the P&I for the second. So you'll be able to have that broken down right side by side here, plus their monthly cost. So everything lines up and provides that total payment, monthly payment that it has. So I want to make the association because a lot of times people don't know where to find that second lien information. So we have it not only in that payment breakdown, but that More Info provides it really nicely and neat and really quick here. We do on the face of the report in the summary, we do provide a blended rate and a blended APR. But again, if you go into that More Info, you can see the rate and APR broken down for each of those two products. So if there's any questions on the second lien, go ahead and put it in the question area. So now what we want to do is focus on second lien, and we'll go ahead and do that with a refinance. So let's go back to Edge. I'm going back to my home screen. And so in the home screen, we're going to go ahead and start a new product. So we're going to click on New Client. And so with that, we're just going to go ahead and enter the information. So I'm just going to enter my name, and then I'm going to go down to my friendly name field, and I'm going to put this as my identifier as Training Thursday, and I'm putting today's date. And this is just for my reference, but it shows you what that friendly name field will do. It's just a reference of that file. So for those of you, you probably already know on the open house, great way of being able to put the street address here as your identifier, because you can use that copy feature and not have to enter the realtor's information over and over. So we do have that copy feature, so if you're not familiar with it, put it in the questioning area and let me show you how you'll be able to use that copy feature, so we can show it at the end. So you can put in the basic information, and what I'm going to do is show you how you could key in the loan the fastest way. And the fastest way is the basic information. Just remember, you have co-borrower's information. I am focusing in on a TCA, which is the own button. If I was doing a rent versus own for a purchase strategy, this is how you get that presentation, just clicking the button for rent. Moving on, I'm not going to mark anything in the goals, but if you wanted to, you could go ahead, pay off my debt, whatever they may be doing for that refinance. If you're doing a purchase, make sure you mark it as a purchase. This removes that current mortgage for a refinance. So if you're doing a purchase, make sure you have it marked. So I'm leaving it empty, and I'm moving to my next screen. So now we're going to talk about this screen a little more and through all the fields, because a refinance, we have a little bit more information. So on a property value purchase price, let's see where everyone's from. Okay, so let's just go ahead and put in today's purchase price, property value is $350,000. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll come back to the screen, but let's just focus on the current mortgage itself. So we're saying the property value is $350,000, and let's say back in April of 2013, they took out a loan. And at the time, their house was $275,000. That's one thing about doing a product on the fly. I'm making up all this information. If there's details on any kind of product or rates you want me to show, please put that in the question area, and I could go ahead and show those rates for you. So what we'll do here is on a $275,000. Okay, so let's have the original loan amount here was 200, no, just a second, 275, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, everyone, 20% of that, it's not 27. So we'll have a 220 loan amount. Interest rate of, we'll say 5.5, and a term of 360. And Jill, hey Jill, how are you doing? This is Lori. Yes, you can pull a rate from Optimal Blue, and what we could do is at the very end of the call, I could show you how that works. So if anyone else has an API that they use, let me know, but I do have access to OB, and we can show that at the end. Okay, so original loan amount was $220,000 with a rate of 4.5 and a term of 360. So our remaining balance here is going to be $207,000. So with that, what we're going to do is advance the screen, and I'm going to enter some monthly costs. So then what we're going to do is go back and talk about these figures a little bit. So let's do hazard insurance. I'm just going to put an estimate in here as well as with property tax. And we don't have MI because we had a second. Let's say it's 20% down. So with that, let's go ahead. Whoops. One step too far. So this is how you would go ahead and start with just a current mortgage, and you didn't have a second. You would just put in what the property value is. We're going to come back and talk about original appraised value. We also have the first payment date. With that, we put a loan amount, a rate, and a term. with these figures here, we went ahead and calculated the remaining balance. So you have that information. Then if you advance, now we want to enter that second lien info. So I'm going to say, yes, they had a second lien. And as I advance my screen, I'm going to go ahead and put in the dollar amount. So with that, we're going to put in $27,500. Whoops, first payment date. Let's say they got it out at the same time. Let's see what our interest rate, let's say it's 5.25, and the term was 240. So with the terms here, I went ahead and just made up a second lien. It's just a fixed rate. It's bringing in $27,500, remaining balance on that, $24,458 with the interest rate of 5.25. So with that, what you'll be able to do, and then if you advance your screen, you can see you're complete because monthly costs are already within that first lien information. And so now we have our second lien. So what the system is going to do when you come to the product, it will go ahead and add the remaining balance here, $24,588, as well as the remaining balance for your first lien, and provide that to you as your new loan amount in your product. So with that remaining balance, if you go back a screen, we also have a current payoff total amount. So I want to be able to point this out because a lot of times people put a figure in here and not realize if they need it or not. So we do use this figure for the cash to close. And what it says, this field will use to calculate the cash to close on a new refinance. Do not use this field if resubordinating the second lien. If the field is left blank, the current loan balance from the first and second will be used to calculate the payoff balance. So to show you what it means by that, we're going to go ahead and leave this empty. We have a remaining balance of $207 as well as $24,558. So now let's go to our product. And with our product, what we're going to ask, is this a refinance? We want to answer yes. And you see on the base loan amount, it is now $231,774. We added those two, the remaining balance on the first lien, as well as the remaining balance on the second lien, combined it and provided that as your new total. And so what we'll do on our second product, we're going to go ahead and show you how to resubordinate. So we'll work with this a little bit more. So is there any questions on that aspect? So that's how you can enter a second, and then that data will carry over to your first product. So before we start working on building a product, let's go back and talk a little more about the second lien information. So with the second lien, let's go back and start with the beginning information. So you can see we do not need a current payoff amount. Some people want to show the amount of the payoff because they know they're not going to close for a couple more months. So if you know and want to take that into account, you can place a dollar amount here, but remember it needs to be both the first and the second lien amount. Place that in here. This is what we would use for the cash to close. So always remember, if you put a field here, we will always use this. We will not look at the remaining balance. Original appraised value, sometimes if you're working with FHAs, and they are in the past, because of that declining balance, you would want to put in the original appraised amount. A lot of times you won't have that, but I do want to explain what that purpose is for. It is to calculate the LTV at that original point in time to be able to cut that MI from the loan. So that is what these fields are for. Current monthly mortgage payment, it's just if you wanted to put in a dollar amount that they provided you, it's just a display field only. When we enter the current mortgage, you'll see at the very bottom here, this is the P&I payment based on the data above. So if the borrower gave you a different P&I payment, possibly the number they gave you is including taxes and insurance, or possibly they do have one of these figures wrong. So what you could do if you have a P&I payment, but it is different from what the borrower provided you, you could play with these figures. So maybe the interest rate he quoted you might be incorrect. So you could sort of check around, try 4.25. If you do that and the P&I payment changes and that's the payment, most likely that was the issue. So not only can you do you play with the interest rate, you can see how the payment changes. You can also do that with the original loan amount. So maybe it was only for $215,000. So again, you can see the correlation of changing these figures and being able to view that P&I payment at the base of the screen. You can also, besides the previous screen and that outstanding balance, a lot of times people, you might have borrowers who have been paying down on that principal. So this is the remaining balance based if they paid the payments exactly according to their payment schedule. But if they've applied any principal, this number might be less. So if that's the case, all you have to do is just override this figure. Say they paid down a couple more thousand. And then this figure will be used when we go and calculate the new remaining amount or new loan amount. So there's a couple ways of being able to override that figure. You do have it in the current payoff total amount, or you can override it in the remaining balance. So I'm going to go ahead and put back in this information, and let's get our product back in order. Again, if there's any other questions here, if you want to go ahead and put it in the question area, that would be great. We're going to go ahead and build our 2 products so far. So if you have any other kind of products, it's your chance. If you want to see arms or anything, we can develop additional products and be able to show you and include that as part of the training. So now let's go ahead and bounce our screen. Just remember what our data. So we have our first lien, monthly cost, second lien data. So we have the affordability screen that I'm going to go ahead and bypass because this is information that's great additional details for your presentation, but we were moving through it and trying to create this presentation the quickest way. So let's go ahead and we'll just put conventional 6. So I had already done that. If you ever change the figures in your current mortgage, a quick way to do an update here is just by clicking on no and then yes again, and it will go ahead and update those figures. So that's a quick way of, if you modify it, you don't have to then do an override. So now let's go ahead and put in an interest rate. I'm going to put 3.875. If you want to see something different, let me know. Term of 360. So if you were, any of you were mentioning you were using product templates and fee templates. It's really important to know that with your product template, a lot of times your organization will provide these to you, but the fee templates are not part of it. So if you want to make a step, just one more, an additional step quicker, we'll show you how to build your own template based on your corporate template. So if you have a template, go for a fixed rate, go ahead and pick that, and it will go ahead and apply those defaults. And as the interest rate, the term I'm using is 360. I'm advancing my screen, and now you can start seeing the graphs are being built on the upper right-hand side. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my fees. I'm not going to discuss fees in detail. If you want me to, let me know, and on the second product, I'll go ahead and talk about that. Yes. No, those Fannie Mae lookup buttons, Jill, she was asking about, I believe it's in the affordability section. Excellent. Yes, we do have the those Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac lookup buttons. Here they are. Found them. This, if you do want, you can go ahead and use these buttons. What we'll do is take you to their website, and you can see enter the property address and be able to see if they have that information there. So those are the two buttons that Jill had questions on. So if you could see, it would just open up to that page, and then you'd be able to use that. So it's just a convenience for you in there. And now I'm going to go back to my product and to the feed. So where I had left it is I went and from the drop-down, chose a closing cost template, applied it to the loan, and now I'm going to my monthly cost. I'll also show you in a minute how you could go ahead and copy from that current mortgage. So for those of you going, I already keyed this in, I'll show you how you copy that in just a moment. So with that, we already have our information keyed in, and you'll notice at the very base, it says, does this include a second lien? We're saying no, and we have already combined that first and second lien into one product. So what if they want to see if they can just only do the first and they want to keep the second for some reason? Maybe it's a HELOC, they want to keep that open line. So what you can do is add another product, and I'm just going to go ahead and label this fixed plus second. So here, I can mark this as a refi, but what I'm going to do first is use my copy from button. So with that copy from button, you can copy from that current mortgage. And what is nice is we'll be able to bring over that second lien data so we can resubordinate that second lien. So I'm going to press OK. And now you'll notice that I have an additional item with no box. This is telling me my data is the current mortgage data. So before we do any kind of update, you'll see that the rate is high. If we advance our screen, you'll notice there's no cost. And we get this quite often is people are looking for that closing cost button, and there isn't one. And the reason for that is the current mortgage, they don't have fees. It's a loan in the past. So with that, we will not allow you to add fees if it's the current mortgage. So that's the reason why you're not seeing that here, and that's just letting you know to come back and mark it as a refi. So once we mark it as a refi, it adjusted the figures here, but you'll notice we have that closing cost details button now. So we are going to resubordinate that second lien. So what I need to do is update this base loan amount. I'm just going to go to my current mortgage. I'm going to copy the outstanding balance. Using my jump outs, I'm going back to that fixed and second. And then I'm going to override that remaining balance with that first lien information. So, a lot of you already have it written down. You could just go ahead and provide that information. I just did a quick copy and paste just by using those jump outs. Go ahead and adjust that interest rate, term if needed. Advance the screens. I'm going to go ahead and put in my fees. And now when we come to, you'll see how those monthly costs copied over as well. But you'll notice, does this product include a second lien? It is marked yes. So as we advance, you'll see that all that existing second lien details carried over. And it is marked existing second. This will let the system know it's being resubordinated, and this is the details for that lien. When it started, the terms and conditions. So that's how you could resubordinate a lien and have those details as well. So that's the first lien and second lien is subordinated. So is there any other kind of products that you want me to show besides that, combining it as a fix and then a fix and a second? So now let's just see what our presentation looks like. Let's go to preview. Always add your quote date. A lot of times people just miss that. It's easy to miss, but just make sure you have that quote date. Want to make sure you have those rates and when they were good. So now what we have done is we have 3.875, and this one happens to be a blended rate. So if we open up that more info, you can see we have that current mortgage information. We have our fixed information where we combine the loan amount, and then we have it where we're just resubordinating that. So you have all the information laid out here, 3.75 with the 5.25 interest rate, which provides a blended rate of 3.926. You also, when we go into the more info button, the interest in MI, we do include the interest on both liens in this figure. So this is the interest, and if there was mortgage insurance, it would be included in this total as well. So you can see by doing this, a little bit higher payment than resubordinating with the second lien. So if there's any other questions on the first, second lien and doing a combination as well as resubordinating, go ahead and put in the question area. What I want to do now is be able to split it a little bit and talk about Edge Live. If you can, have you used Edge Live with your client? And if so, put it in the question area. I'm curious if you have used it. It's a great tool. Once you start using Edge Live, oh, great. You're like, oh. And Patrick, have you used it on the mobile yet? Stephen, you haven't used it yet. Come on. Okay. Okay, you've used it on the mobile too. Cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and then Stephen, the next time when you're on one of these calls, you definitely have to be able to tell me you've used Edge Live. So with that, what we could do is to show you, I'm going to the share button in the lower right-hand corner. And this is also great to use, thanks, Stephen, to use if you have a question on your presentation. This is a quick way to start your email. It will place that link, and then you can email us at support@mortgagecoach.com, and we'll have that link right there. You don't have to worry about it, and we'll be able to assist you with your question. What you can also do is do a copy, and what I'm going to do is open this in a new tab. So with that link, I paste it in the link, and this is how the borrower views the presentation. So shortly I'll be bringing up my mobile device, and we'll be able to show you on both devices side by side. So for right now, and a couple of the questions that come through our support desk is asking about Edge Live. So with that, let me go ahead and just split my screens really quick for you and be able to show you with them side by side exactly the differences. Because once you start seeing it, you'll realize it's really quick to pick out your presentation versus the borrower's presentation. Okay. So now I have the two presentations side by side. And if you have a second screen, put that link of the borrower. Remember, just open up your share button, copy, paste that link, put it in a new browser. That's exactly how the borrower will look at it. Put it on your second screen, and then just work with Edge Live. So you'll see on the left-hand side, this is the borrower's screen, and you have that Clear All button. If I press Clear All the highlights will clear off my presentation as well as the borrower's presentation. So this right here will tell you if you have that, if this is your copy. And to get this copy, if you go into Edge, if you click on, there's two ways of, if you click on Preview, you get that copy with the Clear All button. Or if you click Generate Link and use Edge Live, you get that same presentation. So Edge Live button and the Preview button work the exact same way. And then what I'm also going to do, I'm opening up the chat area. If you'd like, you could go ahead and click on this link, and you'll watch me drive the presentation on your screen. Not only that, what you can also do, if you open up the link, you'll notice on the borrower's presentation, I currently have one viewer. With that, that's telling me, because I have the report open on the right-hand side, one person is viewing my report. So potentially, if you're talking to multiple people in different locations, you could see if they're both viewing that presentation with you. So you could just look right here and you'll be able to see it. So let's go ahead and do clear all. It's clearing out our highlights. So say I want to talk about the more info in the monthly payment area and show them that second lien detail. So you can see how I opened up my payment area. I've delayed it. Let me see if I can open this up a little bit. I'm getting a delayed reaction. You saw how earlier. Let me see if I can get the highlights. I wonder if it's my internet connection. Let's see. Oh, I'm on the wrong report. That's what happens. Okay. You notice I'm on a lender paid MI and I'm on my conventional. So that will tell you if you're not working on the same report. So let's go ahead and close this one out so I won't be using that one again. And here we go. Okay. So now once we go side by side, you can see how you can click on that more info button, and then the borrower's copy will also open. So if you're talking about that second lien, you could show them how you resubordinate it for them. I'm highlighting, and the way I'm highlighting is just hovering my mouse over the field, left clicking. If I left click again, it removes it. You can also go to the title. If you click the title, you'll notice the whole column highlights at once. Click again, and it's removed. But you can be within these areas and go all over the place. You could go into the more info with the payment breakdown. You can show them how the payments are broken down. You can see how you have that payment for the second lien. And then at any time, you could come down here, clear out all your highlights at once, not only for your copy as well as the borrower's, as well as the mobile. And someone did jump on the presentation. You can see we have 2 views now. And what I'm going to do is let's place the link in my mobile device, and we'll bring up the mobile device so you can see that a little bit. So the link is 1BU. V as in Victor, U-Y. And let me go ahead and bring up my reflector. And then what I'll do is bring up my mobile. Doesn't seem like my mobile's going to connect. Okay. So what with it, unfortunately, I won't be able to bring up that mobile today. So with that, what you could do is not only are you driving it, the highlighting and opening it, you'll be able to see that you're driving the mobile presentation as well. So if they're not at their desktop, they'll be able to view it on the mobile device, their phone, their iPad, Android devices. They'll be able to also view it and be able to walk with you through Edge Live. Not only that, and I don't know if you've tried this yet, Patrick, but besides highlighting, opening up those more info buttons, you could change data. So with that data, I'll focus more in a little bit on that. So let's see, Patrick. So if you go into the more info button, and it might be one of 2 areas. Let me go ahead and open up this report a little more. Patrick has a question. Can you highlight the fee details under the more info button under the summary section? In the summary section, this area, and then we're going to closing cost details. Let me just clear out my highlights. Okay, yeah. So I'm wondering, let me clear out this. Okay. So with that, if we go into the closing cost details and you click on the fee details here, I think what you're wanting to do is be able to highlight in here. And unfortunately, you can't physically highlight, but what you can do, it will drive the presentation for Edge Live. So are those the fields you're trying to highlight, Patrick? But you can see how on Edge Live, I'm driving the presentation, opening up the fee details. So really when you're on the call, you'll be able to drive when you're talking about fees, but you won't be able to, there it goes, finally moving a little slow. But you won't be able to actually physically highlight them. So, but you can do the movement if you're talking. So if you have a contribution, you'd be able to go ahead and highlight the contribution, talk about that, and it will also guide them on the mobile device. So have you changed data with it? If you're talking to a borrower on the phone and maybe they want to ask for an additional product, they want to look at something different, maybe it's a different rate, or you can even provide the rejection payment, show them how they could pay off their loan faster. So with that, you could be on the phone, and when you go into Edge, your Edge account, you can make those updates. And just to be able to show you a couple of them, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the short-term area, 60 months. So we're going to modify this number of months, show you where you can do that. Also, when we change this, we'll show you how to find the break-even point. So I'll show you how to be able to provide that. And then what you could do is make modifications to the product itself. So first, let's go, and what we're going to do is add a rejection payment. So going back to Edge, I'm going to the analysis screen because this is where the reinvestment is. And you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, this is where we have the number of months for the short-term analysis. We have the dollar amounts below it so you can see those graphs. Let's go ahead and see where those graphs lie at 24 months. They're still positive, 640 and 593. So let's bring it down to 12 months. So this is telling me right here that, let's go ahead, both point current, that at this point, my current mortgage is the better position. So let's go ahead and bring this out another month. Let's see. You can see how the first product, it is already saving money, so it's definitely saving within the first 12 months. And let's see when this rolls over. Not yet, almost there. There we go. So it might be. So at 20 months, this, the first and the second, if they resubordinated the second, they would then recoup the cost at month 20. Okay, Stephen, it should, if anyone, maybe it was a delay, I was having a problem, I noticed on the screen as well, but I'm making these updates, so you'll be able to see those who have clicked on that link, you're going to be able to see these updates made, so look for those and let's see. So you can see right now my short-term analysis, I went and I realized at the 20th month, I have now recouped my costs. To show that on the report, anytime you change any data, you need to advance the screen. So I'm advancing my screen. I'm just going to advance it back so I can see it. And then you can see on the PCA, I'm pointing the borrower's one, that the 60 months is going to update to 24 shortly, or 20. So you can see how you could change your data and it updates the presentation as well. So you could talk, you can even put 19, you can see the negative here, and you can see where their break-even point is, if that's something that you show your borrower. So let's put this back at 60, and now let's talk about reinvestment. So if you use the reinvestment strategy, And I had a support question yesterday. A gentleman always shows their first payment and any aggregate costs and something else, and he applies it to the first payment but not thereafter. So it just shows them all those savings and put it back into the principal. So with that, that is using our custom details for our reduction payment. So first, let's just say if the borrower is going to apply additional $100 toward the lien, how that would look. So I could place $100, and if I did that each month, my new freedom point is a little less, a little more than 25 years. If I applied that $100 directly to my savings each month, I can have that paid off in a little over 9 years. So you can see how you can apply money toward principal, and we'll tell you when their new payoff amount is. So how does this look on the presentation? So let's go ahead and press OK. Remember, I was saving my data, so it will show on the presentation. And you'll see now they have an additional field. So any of you who are viewing the presentation as well, you should now have a reduction payment field. So let's go ahead and highlight that. And you can see how that dollar amount is there. Now I have 4 viewers. That's pretty cool. So now let's go back to Ed. Point forward. But sometimes you only want to apply it at 1 month or maybe in 2 years. They know they'll be able to apply additional amounts. So what you could do is back in the reinvestment, again, analysis, reinvestment strategy. And with this, what we're going to do is we'll replace that $100, do a double click. Actually, let's do it over here. So you can see how $100 and I have 9.8 years. What you can always do is show them, okay, after $100, I want to apply that $100 to the first lien. So what I'm going to do here is you'll see how it opens up in just one moment. So you can see it starts the reduction payment schedule. So you can identify what month and how much. So I want to go to around 108 months, around 9 years. And now I want to start applying the $100 towards my first lien. When I place it like this, it's saying on month 108, add $100 toward principal. I'm going to press OK. We're going to come back and talk about this a little bit more. And now you see by applying $100 first to the second, they have a shorter time period of payoff. And then applying it 100, again, it's shortening the length of their first lien. So you can show them how you could apply it to the second and then roll it over to the first. Now if we go back into that custom screen, another item is you'll see that we have a line here for MI cutoff month. So if you're using MI and want to show how to reinvest that mortgage insurance, you could do so here. What you would do is click on Add Line. Say this was on month 78. I would just change that to 78, put in that dollar amount. But now you'll notice on month 78, I'm applying 86. I should adjust that $100 to include that 86. So what I'm doing is opening that up, changing that dollar amount to not only include that $100 that I was putting towards second, that I'm applying to the first, but I want to include that mortgage insurance. So I combine that amount, then I press OK. And you can see, again, how much it reduces. And I know we're showing purchase or refi products, but I do want to just point out really quick, if you're doing bridge loans or things like that, what you could do is say add. Maybe they're having a bonus even on a refinance strategy, and they know they're going to apply amount toward their original balance. So I could go ahead and say in month 12, I'm going to apply $25,000. So what the data will do is at month 25, they're going to apply $25,000 toward principal. But what we need to do is stop it, because on month 13, we need to make it 0. So what we need to do is on month 13, leave it at 0, and now that $25,000 is only applied once. Month 12, we apply $25,000 to principal. Month 13, 0 at that. And you can see the adjustment here. Any of those type of adjustments here, or reinvesting that secondly. Also want to point out, if you're doing a current mortgage as well as these, a lot of times if you're just applying the savings, you can put it directly like this. The savings amount is right above. And then again, you can put that savings over here, apply it to the second lien, and then start applying it to that first. So with that, I'm going to put it month 72. And how much was that dollar amount? 196. That's okay. And then you can see the adjustment. So when you do that, you'll also see then on your presentation, it also will adjust with those figures. Want to point out, let's go to my presentation so I can do the highlights. So you can see the reduction payment. It's been updated with the figures. If you go to more info, we have the reinvestment strategy tab. Make sure before you send it to the borrower that you have these fields highlighted. So that way when they come in here, they can see this and they can start viewing the information you're providing them. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm done with our training Thursday. I am going to come back in just a moment. I'll show you that Optimal Blue interface, Jill. So just hang on. And if you have any other questions, go ahead and put it in the question area and I can address them. Want to point out, in Edge, you have a help button. That help button will take you to our support page. Not only do we have the many video assets, we have that search engine. So if you had a question on second lien, how about lien? You could go ahead, put it in the search, and we'll have all the different video tutorials and frequently asked questions you can use. Also want to point out, today's call will be posted in our coaching call archive, which is in the upper left corner, and the middle center is our month's event. And with that, if you click on it, besides our training Thursday, want to point out we do have Mortgage Coach University. It runs for the first 3 weeks of every month. Next week, we discuss refinance strategies. So definitely hop on that call, register. If you click on it, you can get the curriculum just by going here, seeing what we're showing. We have a beginning and an advance of both of those. So all next week is refinance strategies. This week is purchase. So get more familiar with Edge. You can attend those Mortgage Coach Universities. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show the Optimal Blue interface so I can show you how that works, Jill. And I'm going to have to stop my screen for a second because I need to make sure I'm in that account. So if you just give me 1 second. And for anyone else, what I'm going to be showing, Jill, is we do have a API where it will pass data from Optimal Blue and bring it directly into Mortgage Coach. We have that for our enterprise accounts. And so if you're on an enterprise account or not sure, just email us. You can put it in the support box and we'll be able to tell you. We have other interfaces as well as LoanLogic and Velma and things like that. So let me go ahead, just 1 moment. Let me just, you shouldn't be seeing my screen, just give me 1 moment, everyone, and let me get it set up and I'll show you that. Just one moment. And Jill, what company are you with? Again, if you could put in the chat area. Oh, there we go. We normally don't we record them, but we normally don't host because we like people to attend our trainings, Jill. She asked if the MTU calls were recorded. Okay, yeah, you do have the OB stuff. Okay, great. Okay. Put me back into the Optimal Blue account, and I'll start showing my screen again. Okay. Okay, you should be able to see my main screen, Jill, if you don't, or anyone else on the call. Okay. I hope they didn't reset our passwords again. They did. Okay, Stephen, as for the live TCA, does it allow the borrower to hear audio, or do we talk over the phone instead? Yes, this is a good question. You want to reach out by phone. We don't have an audio connection here. That was another question I just answered this morning in the support box. You would just reach out, talk to them on the phone, but when you're on the phone, you're able to work within Edge and be able to drive the presentation. So you would have to make that connection somehow, either by phone or Skype or however you communicate. And let's see if my admin piece works. You know what, Jill? It looks like my account isn't connected with the Optimal Blue at the moment. I'll make sure it is. I can show it next week. Also with, did you get the PDF? We do have a PDF for the Optimal Blue integration, and it just walks you through step by step. So if you haven't received that, just email us at support@mortgagecoach, and we'll be able to provide that to you. With Optimal Blue, what it will be able to do is when you go in and you have your file, you'll be able to, once you get to the products of sorting, you'll see a Mortgage Coach button. And with that, actually, just one second. Let me just show you. I'll walk you through. I can bring it up here. Almost there. There we go. Okay, so you can see my screen now. You should be able to. I apologize that I can't provide a live demonstration, but with it, we do have this in that you can request through support. You'll notice this is familiar. If you work with Optimal Blue, this screen is familiar. It's your product selection, and you want to go ahead and submit for your different products. With your products, you'll see a coach column as well as a coach button. And what you do is select your products. You can even dive in deeper to each of the products, select those as well. Once you can do up to 4 selections. And once you do that, you press Mortgage Coach. Then you'll see that after you press that Mortgage Coach button, your presentation automatically opens for you. So it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and then what you end up doing is just going directly into Edge, updating titles, adding fees. Some companies have fees in their Optimal Blue, and those carry over, so it depends on how your company is set up. But we do have that option. But basically, you could go from there. You could record a link. But always remember to go in and update add those fees and update those titles. So that's how simple it is, and really it is really quick if you're using that Optimal Blue. So I hope that helped, Jill, and if you need this or anyone who's using the Optimal Blue API, just email us at support. We can provide this to you. So with that, everyone, unless there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and I know, Jill, for yours currently does not have any. So what you can do, if you do not have fees set, and also if you're on a enterprise account, if you CC your branch manager to our support, we can build out fee templates for your branch. So that way not only are they included for you, they're included for your whole branch. So you can always email us and we can get those taken care of for you. Any other questions before we wrap up today's call? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. You had some great questions. This call today will be in our knowledge base. It will be posted later this afternoon. So with that, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Again, you go ahead and attend those Mortgage Coach Universities. Check out our calendar, and always email us at support@mortgagecoach.com, and we'll be able to assist you. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day.